Welcome to a sunny Weldon Road for this afternoon's Stonesbitter Championship clash between Salford and Castleford. Slightly disappointing crowd considering the excellent conditions and the run of form Castleford have had in recent weeks. Salford, of course, now destined for the second division, should be able to play with a free spirit, but unfortunately they've been plagued by injury problems, whilst Castleford, who only a few weeks ago were themselves sucked into relegation turmoil, will be attempting to consolidate a top 8 place which now seems theirs. They'll doubtless be encouraged by the thumping 34 points to 10 midweek victory over an understrength Wigan side. But Salford will have the memory of the match 5 weeks ago when Tex Evans was sent off, but unfortunately they were well beaten at home by Castleford despite a great fight back in the last 3 minutes. Today's teams: Salford, number 1 Steve Gibson, number 2 Tony Howard, number 3 Martin Burkett, number 4 David Fell, number 5 Steve Curry, at 6 Frank Cassidy, 7 Sean Brown, 8 Michael Gill, 9 Mark Lee, 10 Steve O'Neill, 11 Ian Gormley, 12 Ian Blease, 13 Arthur Bradshaw, with substitutes today Joe Walsh and Tony Conroy. Castleford: 1 Steve Larder, 2 St John Ellis, 3 Sean Irwin, 4 Grant Anderson, 5 David Plange, 6 Graham Stedman, 7 Gary French, 8 Dean Sampson, 9 Kevin Beardmore, 10 Keith England, 11 Neil Batty, 12 Jeff Hardy, 13 and skipper John Joyner, with the substitutes Neil Roebuck and Lee Crooks. This afternoon's match official from Widnes, Mr Campbell, about to set the game in motion, which he does as Castleford kick off with what seems to be a slight breeze behind them. Steve Curry had difficulty trapping that ball, it eventually recovers. And that's not a good ball. Is that a knock on? It is indeed. Loose pass from Ian Gormley. The Salford tried to move the ball immediately. Stedman works the run around nicely, and Stedman has half a gap. But a good tackle from Martin Burkett saved the day. Goes beefy England, fresh back from international duty. One of 3 on duty last weekend. Beardmore and Stedman being the other 2. Dean Sampson had a good season for Cass, as old die-hard Kevin Ward reaches the end of his career in England again, but a great tackle from Steve O'Neill. French, Stedman, Salford have the men marked, but he steps inside Cassidy, and he's just held at the second attempt. On the last tackle, French looks to kick, and French does kick. Not the best of kicks. Gathered beautifully. Out on that right flank, and a good strong run away from Tony Howard. That'll give him confidence. Sean Brown has to settle down. Castleford up too quickly. Does the right thing, takes the tackle. O'Neill just can't release Gormley. Cass had a very strange season, started well, then had a very indifferent spell, such that at one point they were talked about as possible relegation candidates. But that's the thing of the past now. Has a run of 7 consecutive victories, as shown as John Joyner, I'm sure you could see, was well offside then, unfortunately for Salford. Referee just checked the other way, and Salford have not made much progress. As Cassidy kicks, and kicks for space. It's a good kick, gets the run of the ball there, gathered by Plange. The crowd rise immediately to David Plange. He's just ankle tapped by David Fell. French, busy little player. And that was well held at the second attempt by England, as the ball was unloaded to him by Neil Batty. Joyner, nice long ball. Good tackle again from Burkett, but the ball's released. Steve Larder, no space, we're on the last tackle. Stedman to kick, and he's got to kick like a mule, as Graham Stedman, but that's not one of his best. Tony Howard does well. Positioned himself nicely so that though he didn't gather the ball cleanly, he didn't knock on. And certainly Salford looking much lighter in the pack. Not surprising really, all the props in the club are injured I think at the moment. Cassidy dummies, not taken, but he rides the first tackle, but not the follow-up. That's a nice kick, is that? That's a very nice kick. Will it bounce? Well, it won't. In fact, it just runs dead. Good effort that was from Mark Lee. Quite a still day, in fact, as I look at the flags. Ian Blease missing his man. Good tackling from the Reds. Ian Blease to the fore, skipper for the day, Ian Blease. That's a good break. Just didn't have support, didn't Neil Batty. He looked inside and looked out, but he just overrun his support. Stedman kicks intelligently, Graham Stedman. Sees a cavernous gap. Will he get the bounce? In fact, he won't, as Gibbo collects. Brings the ball to the 25. Salford working hard. It's a nice ball, but a good tackle from Grant Anderson. One of three other players who Darrell van der Velde would like to see considered for Great Britain, the others being Sean Irwin and Dean Sampson. And Castleford slow, passing the ball out. And that's well gathered, and the home fans didn't like that. That was very ponderous indeed. And he's being held down by French, very lucky not to be penalised, and Salford chucked that ball away. Kerry does well, going down bravely. Gary French extremely fortunate not to be penalised. O'Neill turns, looks for support, can't release. Sean Brown. Michael Gill running strongly but into trouble. Sean Brown, nice work with Cassidy. Cassidy a little kick. Will it bounce right? It will. And Castleford get away with a very fortunate knock on because Salford played the ball on. Steve Kerry, I think it was, knocked back St John Ellis, just an instinctive reaction. Well, certainly Salford have come about with a purpose this afternoon, and certainly making Castleford think. They possibly thought after the trouncing of Wigan in midweek they only had to turn up to win today, but Salford showing them differently. Good tackle from Mark Lee. And that's 5 tackles. Castleford made no ground whatsoever. Stedman now will. An extremely long kick. 75 yards, that ball's gone. Gibbo's got to turn. Just hangs on. Tremendous asset to any side, that left boot of Graham Stedman. Oh, that was much too tight, I'm afraid. Much too tight from Arthur Bradshaw trying to release that ball. Gary French, well held. Home side trying to stir Castleford on. It's another loose ball. Joyner. It's unusual for Joyner. A very poor pass indeed, as we could clearly see. He admonishes himself. There's a very slim looking Mickey Morgan comes on, giving sustenance to, I think it was Keith England. First scrum of the match goes Salford's way. O'Neill. Good firm pitch, dry pitch, top of the ground football. Ian Blease didn't have support on the outside, and certainly I think Ian Gormley taken off the ball, not liking it, and Castleford have somehow got possession from that, and Ian Blease has played it back to himself, so very, very scrappy, but Salford regained possession. Good drive from Michael Gill. Castleford up very, very quickly, and Cassidy, he's just held, only just by Steadman. Half break. Gibson checks inside, back to Brown. Brown, nowhere to go. Thrown to the floor by Jeff Hardy. Nice little ball inside from Lee, but that's the 5th tackle. Sean Brown eventually passes, and there's a kick from O'Neill. Plange throws out a very poor pass to Larder. Larder has nowhere to go. Salford there in numbers. England driving. Joyner, nice ball, but it's knocked on, and Salford regather. Sean Brown. That's a lovely ball from Brown, and an equally nice ball. Burkett on a run. In fact, it's David Fell, not Martin Burkett. Brown using the narrow side again, but his path is blocked by Steadman. Cassidy almost picked up. That was a poor pass from Stephen Hale. He apologises for the fact. But enterprising play from the Reds. Castleford get their first scrum and their first penalty, all in one. Steadman with the chance to find a good touch. Super conditions for kicking, and he does just that. Next 30 yards. Sampson looks to have trimmed off a bit, Dean Sampson, since I last saw him. He's a very strong lad. Mr. Campbell letting a little interference go in these tackles from both sides, a bit of holding down. Stephen Neal that time, and Keith England not liking it. Joyner turns it inside. Must have been just about level, that pass. French, interesting little kick. That's offside, says the ref. Offside. Nice kick from Kerry. Mark Lee goes himself. Not past Beardmore. Brother Bob out for the season, of course, with Lee. Having had a good season there. Ian Blease just took his eye off that ball for a second and he's lost possession. England. And the crowd can sense Castleford coming to life a little bit. Hardy. Cass with men over, with lots of men over, and he could well go all the way. Was that forward? It was forward, and excellent positioning by Mr. Campbell, right on the spot. Scrum down, the referee couldn't have been in better position than he was. There was a hint of forward about it from here, and he was absolutely dead in line. And now Salford get a penalty. And the home fans not pleased with Mr. Campbell. That's one penalty each. John Joyner trying to stir his troops. Another good kick from Steve Carey. O'Neill runs at Joyner. Good hard tackle, but a good run from Michael Gill. I'm pleased with what I've seen of this lad. Cassidy trying to open him up, and he does so well, and Gibson stretches his legs but runs away from his support. He finds it in Lee. Lee to Kerry, and forward pass judged. And Mr. Campbell's showing him by how much. It looked like about 6 inches was what he was signalling. And again, right there. Castleford take the scrum. That's 2-1 now. Larder sidesteps beautifully around 2 men. Off his left, then off his right. Again, a hint of holding down. Batty, no way through. Good tackle from Gibson. French, Steadman. O'Neill has him bottled, and he's aided and abetted by Blease. Joyner, again, knocked on. Things just not working for Cass at the moment. But it's full credit to Salford, they're pressuring the home side. Steve Gibson lining up on this left-hand side. Takes the ball, nice spun pass from Brown, gets the ball back from Gibson to Cassidy. Salford just a little bit still receiving possession, not quite steaming onto the ball. It'll have to go the other way because there's nobody this side. O'Neill jinks nicely and a lovely one-handed pass. And 2 Salford men going for the ball, and the ball's lost, but inventive football from the Reds as Larder can see that there's big open spaces on this side. Steadman checks back. Steadman may have been better, but he likes to go off that favourite left foot. He may have been better using St John Ellis on this wing. Hardy. And the home fans giving the bird to Castleford at the moment, which says, I was just going to say, says wonders of the Salford performance, but John Joyner. And there's a ball, it's missed. I don't believe how that try was missed. This seemed to be the simplest of tries for Sean Irwin, but an absolutely brilliant cover tackle from Steve Carey. Just gave the chance. for the ball to be kicked into touch. I think in the end it was Martin Burkett who cleared the danger, as St John Ellis tried to pick up and turn, and a very lucky let off for Salford. But what a brilliant break from John Joyner. He's put 2 or 3 rather poor passes out by his normal standards. That time he decided to show the dummy, and show it he did. As Kerry drops out well, Larder leaves the ball for Hardy. That's a great ball to St John Ellis. This lad who had a brilliant start to the season with 11 tries in 5 matches. But it's all Castleford at the moment. Sampson strong, but a good tattle low from Cassidy. But Cass now with the noses on the line. French, a long ball to Stedman. They've a man over. They've a man over. And it's a terrible ball thrown out. And into touch. There was half a chance for Tony Howard to break then. In the end, all he did was carry the ball in touch, so it'll be more pressure for Salford. But excellent to see this good defence. We've gone 20 minutes against a side on top of the form, and they've only really threatened the Salford line on 2 occasions, as French now goes direct from the scrum. And that's all right. Castleford have played the ball on. Slightly fortuitous for Salford. It was a definite knock on, and Ian Gormley just slips, gets the ball away. Kerry just slips again. Beardmore took a knock in that tackle. It's a super kick from Cassidy, finding a lot of space. Tremendous kick from Cassidy, finding space behind David Plange. That saves Salford some 60 yards. Good to see Kevin Beardmore on his feet again, but he's limping heavily. Just receiving some treatment from the physio. Obviously nothing serious, perhaps just a dead leg. Cass coming away in the shape of Plange. Again Cassidy to the fore with the tackling. England sticking tight to that ball. Didn't play it, but Salford caught offside. Castleford's second penalty. Graham Stedman sizes this up. Not one of his better kicks. Makes about 10 yards, no more. Beardmore to Sampson. Well tackled by Bradshaw and others. England tries to go round Gormley, doesn't succeed. And that ball's knocked on. Good decision. England knocked that ball on quite clearly. And Mr. Campbell, as he has been all afternoon, right on the spot to see that. Cassidy, that seemed to be a little high, but he held on at least. That tackle from Grant Anderson. It's been a good, clean game. Round to Cassidy, and Cassidy's spotted. It does well, releases Gibson, and Gibson sidesteps away. It's great football from Salford. Ian Blease on the inside. Oh, and he should have looked. Plange luckily gets the ball. What a lovely break from Salford. A great tackle from Steve Kerry. St John Ellis riding tackles in his own quarter, but he's not, well, I was going to say he's not making much ground, but he's nearly escaped again. He's a strong lad, very elusive. Yes, a high floated pass over the cover, and Steve Gibson had a walk in there, and a great pity because I've seen Ian Blease do that sort of pass before. There's Hardy trying to run the ball away. Cass noticeably not finding it easy to make ground. Sampson doesn't seem to be running his weight this afternoon, doesn't Dean Sampson? As we're on the last tackle, Steadman just kicks for space. That's going to bounce nicely for Gibson, but he's well bottled up, totally surrounded. Castleford trying to strip that ball, not succeeding. From Arthur Bradshaw. That's a lovely little dummy from Brown and a super ball, and Blease again throws out a loose one. And now he's offside as well, to make matters worse. Pity, so nearly a good ball, but a lovely little dummy and jink from Sean Brown. In fact, the Salford lining up for a scrum. I think the signal's quite clearly offside. In fact, Castleford were lining up for a scrum as well. But now, Mr. Campbell's got through. Steadman again. This time he does sink a good kick. But a good open game of football. Lots of mistakes on this very dry day. England and Beardmore well bottled up by Blease. Joyner again, just held this time. Hardy, that's a lovely ball. This must be a try. It's not, in fact. Grant Anderson shot into that gap, but again the finishing pass, that's the third time in the same position on the ground. Castleford have missed a gilt-edged chance, and absolute last-ditch defence from Steve Kerry saved the day. It's a good drop kick, Larder underneath it, gathers it nicely. England. French, nowhere to go. And at last, there has been a penalty for holding down. And Will Castleford, the trusty boot of Graham Steadman, shouldn't have any difficulty from here, but it's never a goal till it's over. He has a good look. A little bit of gamesmanship there from Salford, which Mr. Campbell is not pleased about. Salford players being brought drinks of water, and one just in the corner of Graham Steadman's eye as one of the subs took one of the bottles off. Nonetheless, he takes his time and slots it straight between the sticks, and so after 28 minutes of the half, Castleford go into the lead by 2 points to 0. Cassidy kicks deep and low. St. John Ellis. And Salford, as they have done all the half, tackling strongly. Remains to be seen whether they'll have the stamina in the second half. A lot of these lads Of course, not regular first-team footballers. Mr. Campbell right there, nothing wrong with that tackle, he says. Kevin Beardmore gives a dummy and bounces off. Gets the ball away nicely to French. And kicking already. Steadman, that's a tremendous punt. That's gone fully 70 yards, and that's going to find touch. That's an absolutely enormous kick. Steve Gibson really needs to be another 15 yards deeper, because that ball cleared him by a long, long way and then took one bounce into touch. And that kick was from just outside his own 25, literally just outside, and you can see where he's taking play. So 70 yards wasn't an exaggeration. As he kicked diagonally. Steve Gibson's taking a knock. Graham Steadman puts his hands behind his back, says it wasn't me, ref. Castleford's record signing, of course, 155,000. And jeers for the Salford water bottles. Steve Gibson happily recovered. O'Neill. Looks like a shoulder knock, let's not have another. The home fans asking for a forward pass, I couldn't really see that. Neither could Mr. Campbell. Sean Brown, that's a clever little kick. That's a superb little kick. He spotted that space. And a generous round of applause from the home fans for that intelligent punt. That's gone again, some 50, 60 yards. Of course, the ball taking a bounce, as that one did, in the firm conditions. As I was saying about the shoulder injuries, Mick Worrell, I believe, has got a sprung shoulder. Salford skipper, who's been doing so well in recent weeks. And that's him and Chris Whiteley out. And 3 Salford men. They've really worked as a team and supported on defence, Salford, this afternoon. They've stopped Castleford getting the ball on the outside, where they've without doubt got the extra pace. Good sweeping cover tackle from Gormley. This is the danger man, Joyner. Shows that dummy again, and Steadman, Cassidy just hanging on to his shirt tails. We're on the last tackle. French this time will kick. That could well bounce dead. It's gathered in fact by Bradshaw. I think he may have been better advised to just let that ball bounce. I think it was almost sure to go touching goal. Perhaps he wasn't convinced. Jeff Hardy tackling like a demon. Bought from Sheffield Eagles. Martin Ketteridge, the man he's taken over from, has in return gone to Sheffield Eagles on loan with view to a permanent signing. Mark Lee dummies the kick. Sean Brown does. That's a tremendous kick for a little man. He's got Sean Brown. There's no wind behind him. It's very still out there. Larder just ankle tapped, but he gets up and checks inside. Sampson starting to drive in hard now is Sampson. And also a kick out as well. Excellent tackling. French sees half a gap, does French, and puts Larder in under the sticks. Yes, he's just made it Not a double movement, a tragedy for Salford. That little man French with the business, and I think Steve Larder injured in scoring that try. First time really that French has been able to wriggle free. To extend the lead without difficulty, he does so, and so after 35 minutes the score now: Castleford 8 points, Salford 0. And Salford used that opportunity to make a substitution. Joe Walsh coming on for Arthur Bradshaw. Good hard worker, Joe. Maybe tactical substitution that. I didn't see Arthur Bradshaw with an injury of any sort. It's a very warm, sultry day, so Kevin Tamati may well be spelling his forwards. Larder trying again. In fact, it wasn't Larder. It was Neil Batty. Dean Sampson. England running strongly. Joyner, every time he gets the ball, he just has that super ability that he's always had to make half a yard. He started to time those passes beautifully, putting men through gaps. And Steadman with an acre of space to kick to. He's not got the bounce. It bounces back inside. Gibbo gathers. No way through plunge. Salford throwing the ball out, but Joyner spotted Cassidy well. Cassidy, in fact, deserves credit because he didn't take his eye off that ball, and he couldn't have been criticised had he done. As Brown kicks, but that's straight to Larder this time, and Larder gathers nicely at the second attempt, dummies the kick, and Sean Brown first there with the tattle. St John Ellis looking for work infield. Sampson starting to make ground ominously. Salford must hang on, just a couple of minutes plus injury time. And again, that's a super ball to Hardy, and it's that man Joyner. A delightful inside ball, and this time there's got to be a try, surely. Steadman goes himself, and he's got it down. Referee right on the spot. Gets up a little naughtily. Not sure what all that was about. Steadman gets his try. Bit fortunate, he could have been held on his back then, Graham Steadman. He'd two men free outside him. As a very, very trim looking Mick Morgan comes on, dishing out the drinks. Tragedy that for Salford. We're on the 39th minute as that try is scored. Steadman with the kick, it looks a good effort, but it's just pushed to the left of the sticks. And so the score remains Castleford 12, Salford 0. And somebody being spoken to, I think it may well be Steve Gibson. And he's being sin-binned for 10 minutes. It must be for something he said. Oh no, it's dumping. An interesting decision because a double penalty not given at the source of the incident. Nevertheless, it's 10 minutes for Steve Gibson. Perhaps as well for Salford that he'll serve a few minutes of that in each half. Because they'll certainly have 6 tackles here to go. And possibly one more phase of 6 because there's been quite a bit of stoppage time. I now make it that we're just at full time on my watch. It's Keith England, slow to his feet. Sampson. Last tackle. Steadman sets himself for the kick. There he is. Kicks behind Steve Kerry, and Steve Kerry knocks the ball on. Got a bad bounce. Got a bad bounce, but knocked the ball on. It's a scrum down. He shakes his head. Unfortunate. He'll be saying to himself, why did I play the ball? We'd have had the scrum, but it's just instinctive reaction. Ian Blease coming out to blindside winger. As Castleford, sure enough, peel the scrum. This time the ball's knocked on by Sean Irwin. And at last some respite for Salford. It seems ages since they've had hold of the possession. And Sean Brown cleverly feeds that scrum immediately before the extra weight can take effect. Then Ian Blease again throws out a loose ball on only the second tackle. And it's a good job little Sean Brown was there covering, as Steadman could have gone all the way. That was just what Salford didn't want, though, a careless pass. The French kicks early. And good covering indeed from Martin Burkett from the fullback position as the half-time hooter goes. A very hard fought first half. Castleford obviously got extra pace and strength, but Salford held them at bay for fully 35 minutes before conceding those 2 tries just before the half-time whistle. So there's half-time score, Castleford 12, Salford 0.
The Salford Rugby League video is sponsored by Melrose of Monton, your local insurance specialists. If you have an insurance requirement, why not give Melrose a call? With a fully computerised office system, Melrose can give you a competitive quotation on your motor insurance. Melrose can also offer you cover on accident, sickness, property, commercial, plus general life and pensions. With friendly and helpful staff, Monton can service all your insurance needs. Remember, Melrose of Monton.
As Frank Cassidy about to get the second half in motion. Does so with a nice kick. St John Ellis gathers well. Salford must keep working. Come so near on a couple of occasions in the first half to scoring. Just looking at the two sides at the moment for any signs of substitutions. I think both sides starting the second half as they finish the first. Salford, of course, still a man down. Steve Gibson. French. It's an intelligent little kick, beautifully picked up. Great ball inside to England. England to Sampson. Great cover tattle from Joe Walsh. Brilliant cover tattle. But has he gone in? He has indeed. I think it's Larder again. The Salford defence just didn't have time to regather. And it is indeed Steve Larder getting the congratulations, and so we're just a minute only into the second half and Castleford extend the lead. And the fullback, who certainly didn't make himself a favourite early in the season, took a while settling down, has now gone in for his 26th try of the season. No trouble there for Graham Steadman with the goal, and so straight away Castleford go into an 18-0 lead, and Salford desperately need a score or Cass are going to be out of sight. They now make a second substitution. Onto the field comes young prop Tony Conroy, replacing Michael Gill. And Larder again. Sean Brown sticking like a limpet. Sampson. And a nice little push. A nice little push from Jeff Hardy. Sent Neil Batty through the gap. French opens out to Steadman. Steadman, a beautiful ball. Tremendous ball. And runs away from his cover, Grant Anderson. David Plange didn't really help his centre on that occasion. Steadman. And Steadman is certainly not a popular man with the Salford team, and Salford penalised for a high tackle. But Steadman has certainly caused aggravation as a Castleford man down. Grant Anderson took a knock in that tackle. A touch judge on also to speak with Mr. Campbell. The home crowd getting their shackles up as Salford players again require treatment and so on. Just as Steadman about to take his kick. I shouldn't think that'll worry him from that range. No problems whatsoever, drills that ball low. And so 4 minutes into the half. The score extended, lead extended to 20-0. Frank Cassidy. Picks out St John Ellis, as he's done every time, and Salford again penalised for use of the arm. That's Ian Gormley that occasion. Salford's discipline just going a little bit now. Tremendous kick from Steadman, and he'll certainly punish Salford for any slackness. As the touch judge must have had Salford back nearly 20 yards then. And the home crowd don't like that tattle either. And that'll be 6 more tattles, and Sampson certainly felt that tattle, getting to his feet very groggily. And England and O'Neill standing up as Steadman shows that super sidestep. Oh my life! And Neil Batty can't believe it. Steadman showed a superb sidestep, drew the last shreds of cover, and sent Neil Batty in for a walk-in try. And I think he was thinking about the goal kick before he touched it down. He forgot to catch it. But there we are. Another let off for Salford, and there have been quite a number this afternoon. And Mr. Campbell doing very, very sensibly, just calming things down and giving everybody a chance to cool down, but in particular speaking to the 2 blindside props who've had a battle all afternoon. We'll get down in there and be the best of friends again, I'm sure. Sean Brown bobbing, jinking, weaving, doing very well. As at last Steve Gibson is ready to return to the fray, he does so. Seems an awful long 10 minutes that, with the stoppages that there's been. And Salford being forced back, as Castleford now warming to the task. O'Neill, it's not a good ball, and it's a knock-on. Seemed to possibly go behind the man, but Mr. Campbell on the spot has no hesitation in giving the knock-on as the clock is stopped yet again. And Salford just working out the pack. Joe Walsh arriving very late. Steadman gathers at the second attempt. Grounded by Fell. Larder, nowhere to go. Burkitt on the tattle. Sean Irwin. Salford short on the far side. That's where the ball goes. England. Joyner, French. Blease being pulled out for tackling round the head. There'd been a couple of highish sattles. That did seem a rather innocuous challenge, really. But there's little doubt that Ian Blease was losing his rag. The referee had said, calm down. I'm not sure if he signalled 10 minutes or not then. I didn't see a yellow card. He put 2 hands up as if to signify 10, but I didn't see a card. Be interesting to see where Ian Blease goes, and I have a feeling he's going straight for the tunnel. And that's just what Salford didn't want. Only 9 minutes into the half, and Ian Blease is having words with the home crowd as well. And Salford now being penalised another 10 for mouthing as the discipline goes. Already 5 penalties this half to Castleford. Steadman slots the goal. 10 minutes into the half. And what a great pity for Salford that the wheels seem to have come off. They did so well for so long in this match, but now the game's surely out of their reach. Is Castleford about to make a substitution? Grant Anderson not recovered from his injury. And the ball is left by Joyner. And so now Mick Morgan shows the sign to the referee. And Steadman spots immediately that Salford have no fullback. And St John Ellis is going to win this race. And he's going to win it easily. What a tremendous piece of quick thinking. Tremendous piece of quick thinking from Graham Steadman as Ian Gormley goes in with the tackle after the try is scored. I'm not sure what the referee will do. I'm sure there was nothing malicious in that, but the touch judge is speaking with him. But I don't know quite what happened. In fact, the referee's going for his pocket again. And it's Ian Gormley now sent off for 10 minutes. In fact, it's not Ian Gormley, it's Steve O'Neill for mouthing. The referee just signalised for mouthing. John Joyner smiles. And the home crowd are booing. But really what's going on here this afternoon is symptomatic of Salford's season, where nothing whatsoever has gone right. But you could see that tempers were getting frayed at the start of the second half. I think as a result of the Steve Gibson 10-minute incident. So 12 minutes into the half, the lead extended to 24 points to 0. I beg your pardon, 28 points to 0. I nearly forgot the try that started that whole incident off. And St John Ellis again, favourite with the home crowd before he scored that super try. Lee Crooks, what quite had happened to Steve Gibson in that play, I'm not sure, because it was Castleford's feed. Beardmore to Joyner. Joyner dummies one way, gives the other. The ball's knocked on by Sean Irwin. Salford regather. First chance for Conroy, but he'd two men on his back immediately. Sean Brown. Cassidy. Short ball to Gormley, and Gormley's into trouble in the shape of Lee Crooks. And Dean Sampson, two big men. Cassidy dummies one way, then the other, but the ball's knocked forward. Gathered by Sampson. Lee Crooks. Joyner does beautifully, does Joyner. And great football from Castleford. Steadman in under the sticks, but it was that man John Joyner again with a brilliant break, quite a brilliant break. Looked on his inside and found Jeff Hardy, and Jeff Hardy just had enough time to stand up in the cover tattle to send Steadman scooting in behind the sticks, and we're in danger of a landslide as Salford go behind 32 points to 0. No problems for Stedman. The score 34-0. So it's 11 men Salford, kicking off in the shape of Cassidy. He's kicking short, not succeeding. And 11 men against this Castleford outfit. They're going to have all on. Crooks with the ball to Sampson. Another Salford player down injured, it's Cassidy. Crooks again, driving hard, good ankle tap from Mark Lee, and Salford defending with 10 men. Space inside, and Irwin, lovely interpassing from Castleford. Larder should have passed, just held on, now he's passed, but Salford regather. Absolute last-ditch defence from Martin Burkett. If Larder had passed first time, I'm sure there's another try. Kerry shows the dummy. Oh, that's a tremendous tackle from Lee Crooks. My word. As Castleford must score. That's a knock-on and a forward pass, and that wasn't good football from Neil Batty. All he had to do was draw his man and send his winger over, and David Plange looks at him in disgust. That was poor rugby indeed. And John Joyner speaking to him about it, because he turned inside and went for the try himself, and then belatedly realised what he should have done and sent a desperately poor pass out as Gibbo runs away with the ball, but Castleford up quickly. Sampson covering well, but a great tackle. Just hung on to his shirt, Sean Brown. He pulled him over, no trouble. Deceptive strength, this small man. Larder held by Fell. As a Castleford player receiving treatment on the far side of the field. Crooks. Looks to be a bit on the heavy side, does Lee Crooks. Seems sluggish in possession. Plange, great tackle. Great tackle. I've been impressed with Tony Howard this afternoon. And French just says, well, let's have a drop goal. We've had everything else. All the time in the world. Salford still down to 11 men. Steve O'Neill sitting in front of the dugout waiting to return as Neil Roebuck gets his first touch. Cass moving the ball. French. A beautiful short ball to England, and Roebuck's in support on the outside. He throws it on the inside, and there goes Larder for his hat-trick. Takes the ball beautifully on the bounce and goes in for his 27th try of the season, right under the sticks. As I'm afraid Salford with 11 men just don't have the answers. Now Cass have started spinning the ball. Stedman, absolutely no bother. The score now 43-0. Salford desperately trying to get Stephen Neal back. The touch judge checks his watch and says yes, 10 minutes have elapsed. And so at least we're back to 12. But now I'm afraid it's a case of playing for pride and trying to keep the score down. Again, a short kick. And Crooks gathers. Well tackled by Gormley. A few Salford fans behind the sticks to our right, giving Ian Gormley some comfort for that tackle. England spins out of tackles twice. And was Roebuck tackled without the ball? He wasn't, says the ref. Beefy England says he was. It was touch and go. Salford on the absolute last gasp defence. But the Castleford forwards, I'm afraid, breaking through at will now. Cassidy looks for support, doesn't have any, takes Joiner's tattle. Joe Walsh plays his ball. Cassidy. Sean Brown to Gibson. Gibson returns the pass, but Crooks in quickly. Salford not lined out. Steve Kerry looks for the kick. French gathers beautifully. Gives Plange a chance. Plange comes inside. Inside 2 men, 3 men. We're on the last tackle. Gary French wants the ball this way. Stedman spins it the other. And there's men over. Crooks a nice ball. St John Ellis, and he shows great strength through some poor tackling and round towards the sticks. And that's his 20th try of the season, and a good try it was, as the Salford defence, a man down, just outflanked. And although he seemed to be covered, St John Ellis had the strength to ride the tackles and run into the sticks. And the trusty left boot of Stedman does the rest. The score 49-0. So Cassidy reverts to his earlier formula of kicking deep, because Salford have not been in the 25 other than when they've kicked off in the second half. The Castleford 25, that is. Sampson and little Sean Brown hanging over his back. And Salford, I see, have brought back Michael Gill onto the field. I think to replace Stephen Neal. I'm just looking for Stephen Neal. I don't see him. A nice inside ball to Gormley. Gormley rides the first tackle but not the second. And the Salford fans behind those posts just willing the side over. Mark Lee. But Salford absolutely standing still. And that was almost a length of the field try. Steve Kerry grabbed his man well. A loose pass from Cassidy. And that was a blessing that Steve Kerry got that tackle in, because though he had 60 yards to go, he'd have gone it, I'm sure. Sampson bursting through. Roebuck was in support, but he just couldn't get to him. French would have been better advised just sending the ball out there, and he's taken a knock from Gibson. But he's up. Two mates, I believe, those two. Not the best of passes. Gibson sends the ball inside. Tony Howard straightens up and sends Frank Cassidy a pass. He'll wish he hadn't. Joyner all over him. Tony Conroy. Looks promising, this lad. But nothing worse than coming into a side whose confidence is gone. So many players injured. It's not the way to bring young lads into a team, but Salford have no option, I'm afraid, at the moment. Nice little run around. Good move. Gibson does well and then throws out an appalling one-handed pass. And French there quickly. And French, it was a double knock on. The home fans don't like it, but Mr. Campbell is dead right. Salford knocked on, then Castleford knocked on. Castleford head and ball at the scrum. And French feeds the scrum, takes it. Man inside, and it's Larder, and he's there again. That's his 4th and 28th of the season for Steve Larder. A set move. The cavernous gap opened up for him. The Salford missing the extra back row forward to cover. And the score goes over 50. David Plange looks as if to say, why am I not getting in on this action? He was the man used as the decoy, as Steadman yet again sets himself for the kick. And one of the best kickers in the Rugby League doesn't make mistakes from there. And the score 55-0. The short kick doesn't work again, I'm afraid. Crooks, not the best of balls, but he does well. Does Neil Batty. Sampson. Well held by Conroy. Joyner again. Mr. Campbell saying quite clearly, knock on, no advantage, scrum down, Salford ball. Sean Brown gives his lads a chance with that one, as I'm sure you could see. Steve Gibson, let's have a give or break, not quite. Salford at least level on the scrums in the second half. That's 3 each by my count. As Dean Sampson seems to be carrying a knock. Salford using the narrow side. Nothing there for Martin Burkett. Cassidy, will he kick? He dummies, now he passes. Joe Walsh, we're on the last tattle. This must be a kick, I would think. Cassidy or Brown, it's not in fact. It's back to Gibson, and some confusion in the Salford ranks, ending up with a very poor kick. And Larder's here again with that sidestep. And he should have passed. He should have passed. And now Salford penalised for stealing the ball. I think Larder's making a meal of that, to be honest. Cassidy grabbed him round the neck, but I mean, he jumped on his back. There's no way was it a stiff arm tattle. I think he's more annoyed with himself, really. He shouldn't have given the dummy, he should have passed it then. He's had 4 tries this afternoon. He had 2 men free, and all he had to do was release the ball. And Castleford showing absolutely no mercy as Graham Steadman kicks for goal, and even the home fans don't like that. Play the game, Castleford. One of the home fans has just shouted, and Steadman, he's certainly got the distance. Just look at that. Absolutely stroke that. What a superb kicker this man is. He is a craftsman with his place kicking, there's no doubt. And so 34 minutes of the half gone. Steadman with the goal. The score 57-0. Cassidy kicks deep. St John Ellis. Crooks. Sloppy play the ball, Beardmore does well together. French misses a man out nicely. Hardy to plunge and plunge, nowhere to go. Hardy didn't draw his man before releasing that ball. French, that looks a beautiful kick to me, and it's an absolute corker. He just flicked that ball in the air, no pace behind it, just got the roll and made some 60 yards. Sean Brown feeds the scrum and gathers to Cassidy. Cassidy runs into Steadman. And Steadman, he seems to have lost his lid a little bit this afternoon, Graham Steadman. 2 slightly higher challenges by my book, those were. Good football from Salford. Good backing up. And Steve Curry finding space. Castleford now offside. That's Salford's first penalty of the half. Sean Brown thinking quickly. David Fell gets his man away. Mark Lee rides 2 tackles. And Salford, for the first time in this half, attacking in the 25 with the ball in their hands. Steve Curry checks one way. Joe Walsh gets the ball back inside to Lee. Lee dummies, and he's just held by Sampson. Salford knows he's on the line. That's a dropout under the sticks. Mark Lee, I think somewhat fortunate. He tried to play the ball forward. He'd seen marked. As both sides about to make a substitution. Salford bringing off Steve Gibson. Castleford bringing off Keith England. And Stedman to drop out. That's a massive kick, that is. That's a bigger drop kick as I've seen. And he certainly put the fear of God then. But Martin Burkett, who should have caught that ball but didn't, he made the mistake of letting it bounce, and it bounced on the 25-yard line. He sent that ball 75 yards, clean as a whistle, with no wind assistance. Oof, and that was a bit fortunate, and that was a bit messy. Fortunate in the first instance was Tony Howard. And really after that, Ian Gormley should have settled for that bit of fortune and just taken the tackle, but he did try to release the ball. As Castleford take the scrum, the space for Stedman, and Stedman has tremendous speed. And I'm afraid he waltzes round Joe Walsh. Poor Joe Walsh, just not the pace to cope with that. Couldn't get near him, never laid a finger on him. And so yet another try to Castleford. Hopefully it'll be the last. We're in the 38th minute. And by the time we kick off with the speed of Stedman, it'll be the 40th minute. And for once, he misses. And a round of boos for that. And the man of the match, as he missed that goal, has just been announced as Graham Stedman. Castleford moving this ball at speed, and there goes Irwin. There's a man inside and another man inside, and he fell over, and Salford have the ball. My life, if Castleford had taken all the chances this afternoon, I dread to think what the score would be. And that's an appalling pass from Steve Kerry, I think it was. I don't know what he was thinking of with that pass on his own line. Crooks sends in plunge, and the Salford team look across as if to say, I think it was Steve Kerry, as if to say, what on earth were you doing with that pass? We're right on the 40th minute as Plange goes in for that score. And so Graham Stedman, with his most difficult kick of the afternoon, strikes the ball absolutely superbly and right between the sticks. What a kicker this man is. that takes the score to 65-0. And that's certainly Salford's biggest walloping of the season, and they've had a few this season. And it must be one of Graham Steadman's biggest scoring afternoons, with 12 goals and 2 tries. There's little Sean Brown working like a terrier there, as he has done ever since the start of this match. We're well into injury time now on my watch. But there has been quite a bit of stoppage. And use of the elbow. Salford penalised again. I think it's Sean Brown this time. And Steadman just showing us that tremendous boot he's got, as the home fans urging Castleford to run it. Kevin Beardmore to Lee Crooks, and Lee Crooks goes steaming in. And Castleford relentless in the pressure. Salford beckoning men over to the far side. Kevin Beardmore dummies that way, loose ball, and Salford regather, and there in fact goes the hooter to save Salford any further embarrassment. Tremendous performance from Castleford, it must be said, but not until Salford were down to 12 men, when Ian Blease really lost his head a little bit. He got away with a couple of high tackles. He'd had his word from the referee. The referee had told both sides to calm down, and then almost immediately went in with another high tackle. And although it wasn't malicious, he really had no option, hadn't Mr. Campbell, but to send him for the long walk. After that, really, it was all one-way traffic. Salford only once got into the Castleford 25, and so the final score from Weldon Road, Castleford 65, Salford 0.